Welcome back to Reading Bear. Today, we will take a look at some new malicious compliance stories. And if you enjoyed my content, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and post some bear emojis in the comments. Let's go!
The first one is titled, "You Got What You Ordered, Sergeant." Iraq 2004. Me and my buddy were headed to the chow hall to get some food, and one of my E5 supervisors, who was in a very heated spades game, stopped us and asked where we were going. We responded, "Chow." I then made an attempt to vacate the area as fast as possible due to a strong mutual dislike between us. The fewer words I spoke to him, the better. He then told me specifically by name and rank to bring him back a to-go box. Me, "Okay, what do you want in it, Sergeant?" E5, "I don't care." Me, "You sure?" E5, "Just get me a to-go box specialist, Roger," and moved out. Now, I initially planned on filling it up with the nastiest crap I could find at the chow hall and fill it full of whatever slimy overcooked veg and meat slop they had. But it was a good 500-yard walk back, and I didn't want to have to carry the glop-laden leaky styrofoam to-go box back only to have him toss it. Cue malicious compliance. Yup, just a to-go box is exactly what I grabbed for him. I knew he was going to be upset, and at that point I didn't care. What were they gonna do? Send me to Iraq? I got back, set his to-go box down right in front of him. He opened it and the look on his face was gold. "One to-go box as you ordered, Sergeant." I might as well have spit the last word out. The three others playing the game of spades immediately began laughing, as did the others watching. He proceeded to tell me to get in the front-leaning rest push-up position, when one of the others playing piped up with, "How you gonna smoke him for giving you exactly what you asked for?" He fumed for a few seconds, "Recover and fuck off." I quickly got up and continued to chuckle as I left the area. The repercussions were the worst guard shifts crap details, but still was totally worth it. The next one is titled, "Military Instructor Rages After Giving Explicit Order." When I was slightly younger, I spent a summer doing infantry training in the Army Reserves. One of my section's instructors was unpopular and a bully. I had seen him jack up several younger troops over the course of the summer under what I thought were unfair circumstances. Even his co-instructor didn't like him. We could tell, though he was professional enough never to say anything in front of us. Cue the final exercise near the end of the course. Another troop from my section had been sent to a simulated ambush location overnight. We spent hours in damp grass waiting for first light. We were a cut-off team and were watching a road where another section would march past and get ambushed. Cam and concealment were key. About a half hour before their arrival, Master Corporal Unpopular comes by to check on the welfare of me and my fire team partner. We are well concealed with good observation of the target roadway. He has trouble finding us but eventually does, and tells us brusquely to stand up. I assumed at the time he just meant for a little while, to get off the cold ground before first light. But since that was the only order he gave us, and he had been a dickhead all summer about people not following his orders, we took him literally. We stood up and remained standing until the enemy marched by, looked at us in confusion, and the ambush was triggered while the enemy officer complained about those two troops standing in the grass off in the distance. The instructor yelled at us afterwards for a bit. We repeated his last order to us, and he went off, presumably to allow his head to finish exploding somewhere else. We passed the course, we didn't much care, and never had to deal with him again as we were from different units. The next one is titled, "This Looks Like Crap." I had a window washing company in northern Arizona 20 years ago. Did pretty good business. And most customers were very pleased when I got finished with their windows, except one old lady. I spent about 3 hours crawling through bushes and risking life and limb to get to high windows with my ladder on a slope, then moving furniture with her nagging me about not dripping on her windowsills, etc. I was meticulous when I cleaned and got all the screens, windows, sills, and tracks washed and working. Her windows made the water black. We had agreed on $300 for the job. I gave her my kind-hearted old lady discount. When I was finished, I asked her for payment. She refused. I told her about our agreement. She refused. I showed her the contract she had signed 3 hours previously. She still refused. She said I moved all of her furniture out of place and stomped through her fragile bushes, and to top it off, the windows looked like crap. Cue malicious compliance. I walked down the street to a neighbor's pasture, picked up a few very wet cow pies, and brought them back. Then I started spreading them over her prominent front windows, making sure to cover every piece. She went ballistic as I got ready to leave and called the cops. When the cops showed up and heard the story, both sides, they had a good laugh and sent me on my way. Seems she had a habit of not paying then calling the cops to get rid of the trespassers. They loved that I just gave her what she wanted. The next one is titled, "Tell me not to come in if I don't comply, okay deal." This happened a long time ago at a company we'll call the company, with a plant manager we'll call Richard. Richard was paid production bonuses, and in his infinite wisdom, greed, he told his superiors that we could get out more production than 2 plants our size could get out reasonably. With the aging equipment he refused to replace or repair, we were getting seriously behind and now needed to run 24/7 just to stay as behind as we already were. A side note here, our handbook stated quite clearly that Sunday work was strictly voluntary and was to be requested by the supervisor by Thursday at lunch. Needless to say, attendance on Sundays was abysmal at best, since many of us had families and other important things in our life. Richard decided this wouldn't do and called a plant-wide meeting on one particular Thursday right before lunch. "Richard, it has come to my attention that many of you are abusing," yes, he actually said that, "the Sunday voluntary workday status, so I am changing this effective immediately." He didn't have that authority. So if any of you choose not to come in on Sunday, don't bother coming back on Monday. Understand? Me, are you serious? Richard, yes. Me, okay, with a crap-eating grin. For clarification, we were working 2 shifts 12 hours each round the clock at this point, and apparently he had this meeting with them as well. Fallout, me and about 3 others got together and all decided to give him what he wanted. We didn't come in on Sunday or Monday. By Monday morning around 7 a.m. my phone was blowing up with texts and missed calls. Finally I answered, and it was Richard asking me, "Where the hell are you?" I politely said, "Enjoying my day off, thanks again." Richard yelled back, "What do you mean day off? You are supposed to be here." I said, "No, you told us that if we didn't come to work on Sunday not to come in on Monday. And frankly I thought that was very nice of you to give an extra day off like that." Richard, realizing he's trapped, changed tone slightly. "Well, that's not what I meant and you know it. Now get in here as soon as you can." I said nicely, "Nope, you can't back out now. Next time say what you mean. Have a nice day, see you tomorrow." Then I hung up and turned off my phone. I had a great day playing games on PCs with my wife. Edit, I forgot to mention that after a few other incidents like this, the company finally fired Richard and now has a much better plant manager. It's a great place to work now. The next one is titled, "Just give them the test?" Okay then. Another story from my time as a first aid instructor, hurrah. Just as a quick introduction, at the time this story took place I was the youngest instructor within the brigade, at age 16, teaching people that were sometimes 3 times my age. However, as the youngest instructor, I was often the first choice when younger students were being taught for a course. That was the case in this session. This story comes from when I was co-teaching a rather large class with one of the master instructors for the brigade. Our students were a brigade of Navy cadets, and their captain, sergeant. I don't know ranks honestly, but this guy might as well have been a drill sergeant with the way he was treating the cadets. We will call this fellow Kevin, simply because I can't think of a creative name for him. The course was a short one. CPR with AED training, roughly a 3-hour course with 1 break. We go over the ABCs, airway, breathing, circulation, choking, CPR in a pair, and how to use the automated external defibrillator, or AED. The instructions we got from their command were extremely specific, as this was the military and had to follow exact instructions. For context, the master instructor was the first aid instructor for this base before anyone asks. Technically, Kevin outranked him, and I guess that makes me a civilian consultant? We got through the first part of the class with little issue, but Kevin was being a jerk towards us instructors, telling us it wasn't necessary to say that, that's common knowledge. Obviously he didn't want to be there. I wish I can say this isn't a common thing to experience while teaching these shorter lessons, but I'd be lying. After the break, we were going to be teaching the AED and then have the final test. Kevin wasn't having it. The AED literally walks you through every single step, there is no need to go over it. It is true that AEDs do have voice directions instructing the user exactly how to use it, and visual references on the pads themselves on where to put them on the body. There are no settings on the AED other than the volume of the machine, it does all the readings themselves and adjusts accordingly. In all terms, they are designed so that anyone can use them, and in some parts of Canada you don't actually need a certification to be permitted to use them. However, as explained, this is technically a military course, and we needed to teach exactly the way the higher-ups tell us. We tried to explain that to Kevin, but he said just give them the test. As the master instructor was a lower rank than him, he had to obey. However, when the Kevin turned away to go have a smoke during the break, the master instructor took the remotes for the AED out of the cases and threw one to me. I knew exactly what he wanted me to do. For context, the AEDs we use for training are not real AEDs. They are nothing more than glorified tape recorders that cost almost $500 per unit, plus the replacement pads. All they do is light up, convey the instructions on how to use it, and then it waits for 2 minutes to repeat the cycle. However, the remote for this thing is where things get interesting. One remote works on the nearest AED to it, not just the one it comes with. With the remote, we can simulate complications with the AED. Low batteries, moisture on the pads, too much hair on the body, no shock required. The AED is pretty much plug in and use, but it is also intelligent enough when it was too dangerous to deliver a shock, and we were going to simulate that. Normally, we don't use these remotes for the final test, they are normally just used to show the different failures the machines can have and how to fix them, but the master instructor seemed to want to stick it to Kevin. We applied a little moisture to the training dummies, and when the students returned from the break we explained we were going right to the hands-on test at their sergeant's request. We explained that the AED would walk everyone through how to use it and handed them out. They were required to do 5 minutes of CPR in pairs for the hands-on test while using the AED, showing they are capable of doing it. We let them get through their first set of compressions and had the AED activate once, and then we started using the remote. Suddenly, all the AEDs were freaking out, alarms everywhere. "We you, moisture, moisture" kept echoing through the room. Kevin asked us what was going on, but master instructor simply said, "You told us to give them the test, so we did." Only one of the pairs out of the 20 were able to understand what was happening, and took the towel that was provided to them in the AED kit and dry off the training dummy before continuing their 5 minutes. 2 students passed, 38 students failed that course. The master instructor told me that Kevin got chewed out by his superiors after he had to explain to them and our organization why nearly everyone in the course failed. 2 weeks later I was asked to return to the base and help teach the lesson again. Another easy paycheck, nothing to complain about there. The DS was again, but he was strangely quiet, and we got through the lesson proper in half the time it took when DS was interrupting every 5 minutes. As an added bonus, Kevin was so impressed by the class, he purchased pocket CPR masks for everyone in the class with his own money using the order form provided in the back of the first aid handbooks, giving me a fat commission check for the course as well. Master instructor told me that the superiors insisted the full commission went to me for being a civilian putting up with Kevin or something along those lines, I don't recall exactly why. Either way, more cash for me, and no complaints from me. The next one is titled, "If Only You Hadn't Argued." Working escalations, complaints to a supervisor. For internet tech support, I have an agent send me an angry customer over because he needs a tech to his house but doesn't want to wait for our first available window. That's not unusual. What is unusual is that the window is 12 to 2 Monday. And it's currently 10:30 on Monday. Yes, that's an hour and a half from now. That's insane for us, we're usually about 2 days on average to have someone come out. So, the agent sends him over to me. Here's the high points. Me, this is only 90 minutes away, that's extremely fast. Looking at the tech schedule, this is my only appointment available today, then there's one on Wednesday 4 to 6, then pretty much any time from Thursday on. Even having this one available so close is highly unusual. Someone probably cancelled their appointment a few minutes ago for this one to be here. I definitely can't do better. Are you sure you don't want this one? Him, no. Do not book me that time, you hear me? An hour and a half is too long. I want someone now. This is ridiculous, you people are awful. This goes on for a good 20 minutes before they give in. Fine, I'll take it, I guess. Well, I have bad news. While we've been arguing, someone else snapped up that appointment. It's not there to give it to you anymore. The first available now is that one from 4 to 6 Wednesday. What? I want 12 to 2 today. I'm sorry, you wouldn't take it, so we didn't book it and now someone else has. Now this goes on for another 20 minutes while they argue both about losing their option for today and how Wednesday is too long of a wait. Fine, I'll take 4 to 6 Wednesday. But I am not happy. Who wants to guess what happened next? Yep, you're right. Well, I have some bad news. During that conversation, someone booked that time as well. We don't have any times until Thursday. Grr. Customer hangs up. Disclaimer, in the interest of customer service, yes, I could have booked the earlier appointments while letting them argue. But with how adamantly and loudly they snapped at me when I offered to do so right off the start, I was happy to comply and low-key hoped for this exact thing to happen. I don't know if they called back later or what. I never heard about this customer again. The last one is titled, "Want me to call IT for a minor issue while we're busy?" Sure. In their defense, they probably figured the issue would be resolved a lot sooner. This is currently happening, and it's both frustrating and a lesson to those who may be looking to start a company with strict password requirements. So, I work in a company that handles personal financial info. Due to this and the thing we all know is happening to force most of us to work from home, my company has become security-focused, bordering on the ridiculous. One of the things that isn't very secure is the fact the password into our computers acts as a type of master password for everything from my email to my job-related websites and functions. I guess they do this to make it easier on IT, but my spine itches when I think about it. Whatever, not my circus. Well, recently, the CEO decided to push a mass password update across all computers, both in office and out. Last week, I was randomly kicked from the system due to this password requirement and, while annoying as it messed up my flow, I just shrugged and plugged in a new password. Everything gets updated to the new password and works perfectly, except for the company's business messenger program. This program is only there so those with access to it can message those in company with work-related, spoiler, it's never work-related issues or concerns. You know, the very thing your work email can accomplish very well with less than half the issues. The main reason that my management staff wants to have us on it but will never admit to it is because the messenger is set up to automatically kick you into idle status if your computer doesn't sense movement for 5 minutes. Basically, it's a very anal sleep mode function that also keeps time for how long you're idle and announces that time to anyone who scrolls over your name. Normally, this isn't a big issue as even before WFH people would need bathroom breaks or a quick snack, except currently, my workplace is dealing with a massive wave of new work as the current economic climate is causing everyone and their mothers to suddenly want their financial history spotless and in perfect order. Huge workload equals pressure on management equals suddenly everyone's manager is very anal about your production. It suddenly becomes mandatory to always be logged into the messenger while on the clock. That leads us back to the password change and messenger no longer working. I shoot an email to my manager letting her know my messenger is down so she knows why, and I go back to work. I think, whatever, it's not important to my job, so they probably won't have me worry until crunch is over. Nope. I get an email back asking me to call our IT number. The problem is, as you can imagine, our IT has been swamped since March as they suddenly had 1,000 plus employees suddenly applying to WFH. I got lucky as I'm pretty decent with computers and could do the transfer without them walking me through it, so I was out of office by early April, and they had been dealing with staffing issues even before it became a hazard for all 3 of them to be in an office the size of a closet. It's also a problem as they can no longer pop into the elevator to come to visit me, but it now takes remote logging into my computer, trial and error, then seeing what sticks. As an example, the last time I called them, it was due to my mic not working on the program that they wanted us to use to train new hires. In the past, this would have maybe been a 20-minute fix. Now, fixing it took over 2 hours. Cue me frantically emailing manager why I didn't need to do that, why it was a bad idea, and her firing back with, "Company says it's mandatory to be logged on." Cue me putting it off till today as the response of "Call IT" came late on Friday, and I was desperately hoping it would end up being a "time will fix it" issue. Yes, I know that's stupid, but I was desperate, okay? Cue me getting an email from management a few hours after clocking in telling me I had to get this issue fixed. Finally, cue malicious compliance, thank you to those who stuck around. I shrug my shoulders, close down my work, and dial up IT on my phone. I get an answering machine and leave my details, secretly hoping they are too swamped to get to me. They call back an hour later, and it goes as follows: "We got a message you can't log into, insert messaging program name, due to a password issue." Me, yeah, that password update last week forced me to update my password, and I did. Everything else transitioned to the new one fine except for the program. It okay, should be an easy fix. Can I get your computer ID number? Me, yeah, see I'm working from home on a personal laptop, so. It okay, no problem. I'll just need you to walk me through the steps to let me remote into my laptop. Cue about 45 minutes of trial and error, trying different passwords and email combos, awkward silences broken by the occasional muffled curse on his end, and him needing to unlock my account every 5 minutes due to security locking my account. IT, okay. Good news is I figured out what happened. Basically, during the forced password update, your messenger used the wrong username and updated with the new password, causing a mix-up that I've fixed with a new password. He gives me a new password. Me, okay, sweet. So, bad news? The bad news is as everything is connected, I had to change your password for everything to the new one, and it can take at least an hour for the new password to be recognized, and it might not work the first time. Me, silence as it slowly dawns on me. IT, sighing, I've already sent a transcript of this to your manager and the floor manager. I suggest trying the new password to see if something stuck faster, and if it doesn't work in an hour, call us back. We hung up, and I tried the new password and nope. It's not been updated yet, and for security reasons, my old one is no longer accepted. I get a call from my manager asking about the email she just got, and I give her the quick version. She demands I try the new password. I do, still nothing. She asks again. Nothing. She tells me she's going to call IT and hangs up. I get a call from my floor manager, my manager's boss, asking why I haven't worked anything in by now in what has been an hour. I explain. She asks if I can come into the office. I tell her that A, I am not comfortable with that, and B, even if I was, the password would still not work for my desktop. She tells me she's going to call IT. So far, I haven't gotten a call back, and I really hope the IT guy who called me went to lunch to avoid the crap show my managers tried to drag him into. Meanwhile, I get to sit on my thumbs for at least an hour, then go on my legally scheduled lunch, and come back with the hope the password took effect. If not, I call IT again and hope they answer. The best part, I'm still getting paid as I cannot clock out, and they can't require me to make up lost production as it's been documented. My manager requested me to do this. Not the first time something like this has happened, and I've learned to document everything. Moral of the story to those looking to run a company: don't have stupid security methods that tie everything into one password. Thanks for listening.